What is up? Welcome to Mile High Market Mastery Live. We are going to dive into should we sell in 2026 in the Denver and Northern Colorado region. The truth is here is that we are under a lot of different ideas and thoughts about what's going to happen in the market, because they're saying in Denver that home sales will drop 3%, prices falling 3.4%. But on a national level, they're talking about home transactions going up 14%. Obviously, the bigger scale, we are hyper local. However, if home sales go up 14% in a market like Denver nationally, likely one of those statistics is not going to be accurate. So what's this mean for you as a homeowner in Colorado, in Denver, Northern Colorado? And is it time to maybe say goodbye to the 3.5%, 2.5% interest rates that you've been looking at? Well, here's the deal. There's a couple deep dive things in the market that we need to kind of keep our eye on. And a lot of them within Denver and Colorado and all of the places along the Front Range have been a little bit different than the past and the history shows us. So first and foremost, we're talking about mortgage rates. They've been going down according to predictions since, I don't know, 2022, since they went up, right? When we had the date the rate, marry the mortgage disaster. And there's a lot of people that, got into those temporary buy downs and that situation that are struggling right now. So if you're in that situation, let's have a conversation. Let's see what we can do. Certainly, the shock of taxes raising and insurance raising on top of that temporary buy down, kind of dissipating is something that all people need to be aware of. If you need help looking at your mortgage statement, looking at options, please reach out. I have annual reviews all the time. If you're a homeowner and you did not buy your house with me, please comment annual review below, and I'll absolutely go through all of this with you step by step based on your home, what's going on with it, and we can get you to the right path there. So mortgage rates are one piece. And if you're sitting on the sidelines and you're like, okay, like I love this 2.5% interest rate. I love what's going on with that, but I'm in the middle here, right? And in the middle class right now, we know that credit card debt is escalating quickly. We know that savings rate is de-escalating quickly. So if you're in that middle part of this world, which most of us are, and we're getting pinched on that credit card interest, and maybe we got a new car and those are a little bit higher, then those interest rates are higher. Is it really worth holding on to that 2.5% interest rate when maybe you can consolidate it all into 6%? That's between you and the lender, and I'm not here to be that financial planner, but leaving that 2.5% interest rate might be the solution to some of the problems that are mounting there. So as a homeowner, likely you have equity depending on when you purchased, and hopefully that we've made some good decisions along the way and life's treated you well, and we're still doing the work from home thing and all the thing when we needed 2 offices. But regardless, let's look at your situation and make that, because under no circumstance in this, should you buy or should you sell in 2026, are you going to have the exact answer, right? We're going to talk in generalities. We're going to talk about how the market's being affected. But for you, we need to have a conversation and look at all the pieces on the table. And I get it. Life does happen. And we've had, a lot of that lately where people have bought in the last 2 or 3 years, and maybe you're going through a separation or a job relocation, or, maybe growing family, or, maybe empty nesters, whatever that is. And we just don't need that big of a home anymore, but the rate's fine. We're good to go there. The payment's better than it would be if we downsized. And so keep an eye on these mortgage rates as they go. I'm here to tell you they're probably not going to be 4% anytime soon. So if you're waiting for that, we have a whole different conversation. But look at look at the overall picture, the overall interest that you're paying out across credit cards and car loans and other loans and all of the things. And let's actually have a real conversation as it pertains to your home loan. And does it make sense just to kind of sit here on the sidelines and, hoard this low interest rate, but pay the interest dollars to everybody else? So that's first and foremost. We need to look at the financial situation, because that's what I love to do, is help people build wealth through real estate. That's what I've done. And we certainly can be extremely strategic right here, right now. So this is perfect as we go. Now let's talk about the inventory constraints reality, right? Currently, homes are taking 45 to 60 days to sell, depending on what market you're in, sometimes 90 if you're in some of the slower ones. And so what we're actually seeing is the inventory is growing at a record pace because it's sitting on the market longer. Okay, so maybe we're actually bringing less homes to the market, but since the homes are sitting on longer, the inventory is rising. That's some of the stuff that you're hearing in the headlines and all of the things. So inventory is a thing, but here's the deal. If home sales go up 14% per NAR, that inventory is going to go by pretty quickly. And that could be the sweet spot for you to put your home on the market, make a move, get out of the bigger home or the larger home that you're having trouble, moving or selling or whatever. So that's absolutely massive when it comes to all things with the market. If we do see that 14% more sales, inventory is going to get eaten up quicker than you think. We're going to see days on market shrink. The competition is going to raise, and you as a homeowner are going to benefit from that transition if you're in it at that time. And so how do we get in it at that time, right? Because what's that look like? Okay, we're going to have affordability pressures that are kind of pushing it down, right? Well, affordability is challenging here in Denver. We're still, as one of the premier quote unquote markets, kind of mirroring some of the coastal, what we're looking at affordability wise is still a dream compared to some of the other major coastal markets. So that's kind of an up or down. We know as Denver, we get a lot of people from the coastal markets moving inland to the mountains, love the recreation, great place to retire, all the things. Sometimes they find out it's not as great as it should be, but we can keep that our little secret here in Denver or Colorado. So keep an eye on that. But affordability is something that I talk about a lot. But ultimately, from the inside, affordability is a problem. From the outside, the affordability is probably a dream. And when they come here, that puts more pressure on the internal affordability because they're bringing more equity from where they're coming from and so on. So affordability, kind of an outlier for you as a homeowner right now, unless we're moving forward. One of the biggest things I tell my sellers all the time is if, you're going to go somewhere, where are you going to go first of all, right? And let's have that plan. Because the last thing, if we're building wealth through real estate, the last thing that I care to do is have you not be, to have you be homeless, honestly. So that's where we're at. That's what we're working on. And that's what we need to really focus on as we move forward in this, kind of situation. And so make sure that you have that plan. We're putting that plan together. We can have those conversations and we can make sure that we are doing everything in our power to absolutely grow and, build our wealth dream through real estate. So that's kind of the first and foremost piece is that exactly. So let's kind of move into what this looks like for you. Okay. As a homeowner right now with an interest rate that's a dream, is renting your home out a possibility? So maybe if you have something and you have a low payment and you could cash flow $500 or $1,000 on it per month, does that do something that changes your wealth trajectory? I'm here to tell you, I will talk you through that. We will make sure we can see if we can, raise the funds and capital. It's a little bit difficult right now with the savings shrinking, but you never know, right? There are opportunities for us to figure out a way to hold that house as an appreciating asset and go from there. And then as we move forward, what's that look like for you on the new home? Can we make that new home affordable? Because that's where the affordability piece comes in. So as a homeowner right now, Q1 2026 should be an advantage, right? Sellers who list early will be on the market whenever that market pops. Typically, it's been between February and Easter. However, things always change, just like Easter changes the dates based on the moon, right? So we've had some seasonality, averages and things happen in Denver and northern Colorado, over the years. Last year, it wasn't popping come April 1st like it typically was, right? And so we saw kind of a flat spring last year. We never know because it's very much based on the economic outlook, what the rates are doing, and so on, right? So what inflation's doing, everything's costing more, making it harder to purchase a home, all the things. So Q1 2026, you're on the market. You're going to find that sweet spot, that hot weekend as you go. Now, what your home looks like at that time is of utmost importance. I'm here to tell you that if someone's buying a home in the 5s or the 6s interest rates or 7s, they want the house to be turnkey, right? That payment is going to be larger than probably what yours is for that same home because it's appreciated and it's a higher interest rate. So we need to make sure that our home is ready to roll, right? We need to have the floors updated, the paint updated, the curb appeal needs to be good, the appliances, furnace, all that, the roof needs to be in tip-top shape if you want tip-top dollar for your home, regardless of what the market is. Everything is more expensive, so we're really needing to focus on that. So that's the first thing. Here's the deal. As we move forward, at some point when the rates, jump or the rates fall, those are going to be micro opportunities for sellers to get in the market. You have to be ready to go. I would suggest not trying to time this, not trying to make this part of your strategy because we just never know, right? We don't know what's going to happen. All the news talks about the Fed rate lowering, and then when the Fed rate lowers, the mortgage rate goes up because they're not directly correlated, right? That's the problem with that, because we talk about rates and we hear the Fed short-term rate, and we all think that's going to directly correlate to the real estate market. The truth is, it's probably not, right? It might bring some people back to, hey, we're ready to go. And then they go to the lender and the lender's like, well, rates actually went up. You're no longer qualified for that amount, whatever that looks like. So preparation is the key. I would not bank my strategy on selling in 2026 on the rates going up or down. I would focus on exactly what your situation is. And then Q2, obviously 2026, this is absolutely the time where, the peak buyer activity is traditionally. So if we're ready to go by then, here's the deal. Colorado is a tough market for May. We have the start of camping season. We have college graduations, high school graduations, Mother's Day, Cinco de Mayo, all of these things. So the weekends are typically very busy in May, which is usually when we see the most showings on homes. So that's just kind of a outlier that I talk about for sure. So let's kind of step back and understand exactly what that looks like. And if that's you and you're interested in talking more about this and making a plan right now for 2026, I promise you, I'm not going to beat down your door with a sign and put it in the yard, but we need to have a conversation. If you're a homeowner and something I said in this message relates to you, you're like, hey, I need some of that, I need to understand, comment annual review below. If you're thinking about selling and you want to have a private conversation, please shoot me a DM on Facebook or Instagram at JKCO Realtor _, and we can have those conversations. For now, I'm going to take off. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with somebody that might need to hear it, and we'll see you next time on Mile High Market Mastery Live. Thanks.